Este es Aaron con inacomputers.com. Otro video para ti hoy. More computer problems. That's all the world is. The world order is nothing but problems and solutions. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. HP Pavilion Slimline. So I had a local computer repair customer that brought me in their computer, an HP Slimline. What is it? S3507C with no power. And I was able to fix that. And now you wretched trolls on YouTube, you're gonna get all fucking butt hurt just because you watched my video or read my blog post and it didn't fix your issue. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? I've got the word potential in the title. It is a potential fix, but in information technology there's a concept called relativity. Click on the link in the description box of this video down below that'll take you to my website inacomputers.com, where you have full instructions on how to potentially fix a no power issue with an HP Slimline Pavilion S3507C. Now, what fixed the issue was the power button. Now, with a lot of these modern PCs, desktop computers, there's really two pieces to the power switch. So you think that the button that you press is the one that engages the power? No, it doesn't. It's indirect. Indirectly it does, but unbeknownst to you, since you've never taken apart a computer, there's actually another switch. There's a button that you press in that pushes on the switch. The switch, which is binary, it's 1 and 0. It either you press it in to turn on power, you press it in to cut power. The switch itself, which a lot of times is made out of plastic and they're pretty cheap, you know what I'm saying, engages the power, which connects directly to the motherboard. I will demonstrate later on in this video, but you're gonna have to wait around for that, you know what I'm saying, and I'm not gonna spend that much time demonstrating. I have the computer right next to me. You know what I'm saying? So there's really two pieces. You have the button, and buttons are different sizes. A lot of times they're round, but sometimes they're not. They're longer and really skinny. It just depends on the computer manufacturer. You press that button, and then that pushes in on the switch. Well, my experiences in computer repair is that usually switches don't fail. I can't remember the last computer repair customer that brought me a computer where the switch, I think there was one customer. Now on laptops is different, because laptops, the switches are notoriously cheap and sometimes you have to resolder them or get a kit. That's not what I'm talking about. On laptops the buttons are easier to break, whereas desktops, I can't remember. I think I've had one customer in the last like 5 years or whatever, maybe ever, where they brought me desktop computer and I diagnosed it, and sure enough the actual switch had failed and I had to order, and they can be a fucking pain in the ass. It can be very difficult to find a replacement switch for that exact computer off of eBay or Amazon or anywhere. But I think I've only had one customer that I remember where the switch failed. Now I don't want to digress, but you can kind of use a different switch, or if you're familiar with electronics and physics, you can, you know, make your own switch. But let's not digress about that, you know what I'm saying. You want to be careful with these buttons. My experiences are that buttons break a lot. Now buttons don't fail, it's just a piece of plastic, but a lot of times they break. You want to be careful, because if they break, they might not engage, they might not press on the switch properly, and that can cause problems. The switches are made out of plastic. Sometimes they break, sometimes they crack. I've noticed more switches break and crack than fail. They don't really fail, at least on a desktop computer, at least according to my experiences. Now you might want to use some proverbial troubleshooting steps, which is this is how when it comes to troubleshooting no power on a computer, the first thing I check for is electrostatic discharge. So whether it's a desktop computer or a laptop computer, and then I can start demonstrating. You know what I'm saying? What you want to do is you want to disconnect the power cable from both the disconnect the power cable from the computer, whether it's a laptop or a desktop, and also from the wall outlet. Disconnect the power cable from both ends. Then press in on the power button for at least 30 seconds, and that, if there's any electrostatic discharge, that will alleviate that electrostatic discharge. It's worth a shot because, believe it or not, a lot of times that does fix no power issues, but not always. It's not absolutist. There is a concept called relativity. So I'll just get the computer now. Okay, so this is the HP Pavilion Slimline. It's apropos because it's slim, but believe it or not, it's fucking heavy for a small computer. Now, it is a S3507C. The factory sticker is still on the side, and it did come originally with Windows Vista Home Premium, but the customer upgraded it to, I think, Windows 7. So I can show you. So let me move the video camera or transition. Alright, so this is the computer. And so what you want to do is here's the power button. It's a non-standard power button. It's right here. It's a long. So this is a non-standard. It's long but skinny. So to alleviate ESD, press in on the power button for at least 30 seconds. I just had it plugged in and powered on, so I may as well just go ahead and do it. 15, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever. Now, if your power button is sticking, this may not alleviate the electrostatic discharge because the button, believe it or not, sometimes they move up and down, so there is leeway. The problem with that is sometimes they get crooked, or they just don't engage, or the switch gets stuck. It sticks, and so you're sitting there pressing and nothing happens. But you could still try. So then, on this computer, you're gonna have, there's 3 screws on the back. Now, don't get the power supply screws confused. Don't get the power supply screws confused with the case screws. The power supply screws are right here. Now there's 3 screws that hold down the case, and I will point them out closer on the camera. Alright, so those 3 screws, and you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. I can probably do it like this. And then the front, I'll show you the front. So the switch is part of the front cover, which is just plastic. There goes one screw. Here comes another one. Whoops. There comes another screw. This fucker is heavy considering it's small. There's that screw, and here's the final screw. Okay. Now, so you have the front cover, which is this entire piece right here. You don't try to take that off yet. You want to take the case cover off first. So let me lay this down real quick, and you're gonna have to pull. So what I would do is there's a little notch right here, right here. If you're looking at it from the back, there's a little notch right there, and there's one along a bigger one on this side, but this side is easier to like get your thumb underneath. Just stick a finger or even maybe a flathead screwdriver and then pull out, and then you see how it just came off there. So there came the cover. You know what I'm saying? 3 screws and that's it. So you got the back cover off, put that aside, and now you can get the front cover off. So then the front cover, as you notice, is this entire piece. So you need to be careful, but there are 4 plastic releases. 4 plastic releases, and I will try to point them out to you. Oh, you know what? They're kind of hard to see, the other 2 that are near the optical driver, hard to see, but so you're gonna press in on those releases. What you do is you press the opposite way. So you just kind of pinch them. You push in and pinch them, and then it'll cause the plastic to come loose. So let's come on. There we go. So I got that part loose, as you can see. Now you're going to have to pinch the other 2. And since the fucking optical drive is in the way, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But you press down and pinch and pull out, and then I'm going to have to, I think I took a shit. There it goes. So I got that one loose. Sometimes you have to do this. You loosen the first side, and then you go to loosen the second side, and then sure enough, the first side snaps back in. So then you just go and loose the other side that's not loose yet. Alright, so let me try that again. There we go. There we go. Alright, so now it comes loose, and here's the front cover. So and then let me point out these release tabs that I'm talking about. The plastic release tabs are pretty durable, but if you press too hard, they will snap off. But I've only broken a few of these in my lifetime on my own computers because but they will break off, but they're pretty durable, but they are made out of plastic. So you need to be aware of that. So here's the front cover, and then here, this is where the power button is. Remember? The power button's right there. So as you can see, it's a button, and then this is where it presses in. So you push in on the power button, and then it presses in on the switch. And that can become a problem. And then I will show you, we got this off, I'll lay it aside. I will show you the actual switch. It may be hard to see, but I'll try to point out. It's a black button on the left hand side, right above the card reader. So what you would do is, if you can get to it, is you want to press that button in to alleviate the ESD, because that is the switch. It's made out of plastic. They do break, but power buttons from my, or excuse me, power switches from my experiences, they almost never fail. They just don't fail. It's mechanical basically. It's just a switch which is binary, one or zero. You press in to engage power, you press in to disengage power. That's all it does, and it attaches directly to the motherboard. So I'm pressing in. You might have to take a screwdriver or something, or like my fingers aren't that large. I can fit my pinky inside that hole and then press in, and then that's what you would do, because it could be that the power button that I showed you that presses in on the switch was loose or crooked, or just wasn't engaging. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't flush with the power button, you know, the two pieces hitting each other. So what I also had to do, which I'm not going to demonstrate now, but there's two screws that holds the card reader. I had to take out the card reader because the power switch is jammed up. It's jammed up way towards the top, and my fingers, I can't reach the power button at all. Now the power button does connect to the motherboard. I did not disconnect it, but you'd have to probably take out the DVD, and then you'd have to trace it. I'm trying to see where it actually hooks up to the motherboard. Oh, you know what? I think it's down here. You'd have to trace the wires. You would disconnect the power cable from the motherboard, and then maybe it's, I don't know, sometimes just disconnecting and reconnecting wires on computers fixes shit. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I can already see that, yeah, that's not worth my time. Anyways, so let me point out where the card reader is, and then I will try to point out where the power cable is. It's green. So there's a card reader. I pointed out the screws. One is below the card reader on the lower right. The other screw is the top right of the card reader. So you would pull out the card reader, and then you'll get access to the power switch. It'll be easier to get to the power switch. So the power switch is inside there, and once I remove the card reader, the power switch is clipped on. There's a plastic release. Press the plastic release away from the case, which would be the top. Just press in on the plastic and it releases it, and it comes right off the little mount. Now you need to be careful because you don't want to break the cables. There's going to be a power and there's going to be a ground. You don't want to break, unless you know how to solder, unless you know how to resolder. But these switches, the cables, I've noticed, they will break, but they don't fail, and they're made pretty well. In my opinion, the switch that engages and disengages the power, the little plastic, the little, you know, it's very small. It's like a pinhead, or even maybe a pen. You know, a ballpoint pen head, very small and just very, very cheap. But I guess, I guess that's how they're designed. Whereas on the back end, where the power and the ground cables are soldered on to, I think, more like metal little posts, the post will snap off, or the cable will snap off. So you need to be careful when you do, you know, because I did release the power switch from the post, and then I was able to kind of move it around. I just wanted to verify. I wanted to make sure that the cable wasn't broke, or the metal pin hadn't snapped, or that it wasn't loose. That's all I wanted to verify. So I took the time because, yeah, I could have called it a day. Once I pressed in on I kept pressing in on the power button, even with just this power button. But as you can see, all it does is it moves it. That's all it does. It's just the button, and then this presses in on the power switch. Well, that didn't fix it. It wasn't until I took the front cover off and then I started pressing on the actual switch, and then I did that. I wiggled it around. You can take your finger and just kind of wiggle the switch or just keep pressing on it. Sometimes they stick. I'm not sure what it is. And then try to press down. You don't need to use that much force. Try to press down as firmly as possible. Make sure that the switch is all the way down, and then wiggle around or whatever. And then sure enough, I plugged in the power cable and it powered up right away. But I don't necessarily want to. I don't want the customer to call back, and I don't like warranty work. So I decided to take the card reader off and then disconnect the power switch with the release, and then I could grab it and I could twist it around a little bit. You need to be careful, because with these computers, they don't leave much room. They don't even leave any slack. If you start pulling on cables, even the power cable which is attached to the switch, if you press too much, it might snap off, or you'll break it. Or these companies are stingy as fuck, man. They skimp out wherever they can. They're not gonna leave slack. No, these corporations, these fascist billion-dollar corporations, they go around and they calculate, oh, well, how much did that little switch cost? How much did the cable cost? Well, if it's an inch longer, it's going to be another penny. I'm not making that shit up. All right. So then I put everything back together, and then I test too. I tested before I took apart the computer. Well, I didn't take apart the entire computer, but all the parts. But you know what I'm saying? I took the case cover off, took out the card reader so I could access the cable that was attached to the switch, just to verify that nothing was broke or nothing was loose, or the pins that the power cables are soldered onto or connected onto, that they weren't broke or anything like that. And then I tested with the case cover off, and then I also went and put the cover back on, and then tested without, tightening any screws. So that's it, man. And I've done this for many years. It doesn't always work out, but a lot of times with these power switch on these computers, they never fail. It's something, this button, the power button, these could break, or people break the button, or this gets stuck. You see it? Sometimes they break, sometimes they crack, or everything is all good, but they just don't release the power switch. It's just really weird. I think they get stuck. It's just, or they don't press down flush. The power button isn't pressing down on the release switch, and maybe it became loose. And this stuff is made out of plastic, so if you drop shit or if you move shit, but that's why we computer repair technicians are valuable, because we know what to diagnose. And so that's it for this video. I'm not going to demonstrate putting this back together. You just put it back together the way you took it apart. Make sure you tighten all the screws, and that's it. But me personally, with my customers, I try to make damn fucking sure that when I return the computer back to my customer, I don't get a phone call, because I fucking hate warranty work. And they'll expect you to drive to their house or to their business because you fucked it up, you lied, you didn't fix it, and the next time they go to power on the computer, no power. So me personally, I double check, triple check, quadruple check my work, because I don't get chargebacks, and I don't want chargebacks. I don't want fucking warranty work. Alright, so hopefully this video and these tips helped you solve your HP Pavilion Slimline no power issue. Now, this video was made specifically for a Pavilion Slimline S3507C, but I think if you have a similar model, a similar HP, you could use these instructions to take off the case cover, take off the plastic cover, and the fundamentals, the general fundamentals of troubleshooting a power switch that is not engaging for whatever reason, whether it's stuck or something broke or whatever, you know, plastic broke somewhere or the button is stuck or not engaging. You could use that on any desktop computer. Laptops are designed a little bit different, and I don't want to digress about laptop power buttons. Some of them are very similar. There's a button and then there is a switch, but not all of them have a switch that presses down. I don't want to digress about troubleshooting laptop power, you know, not working. Adios.